Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining this year's webinar organized by the Companies Registry for the TCSP sector. Today, in the first part of my presentation, I would like to share with you the points to note for applicants or holders of trust or company service provider licenses. Then, I will share with you some of the common deficiencies identified in the policy statements and during interviews and inspections with applicants and licensees. Let's have a quick review on the TCSP licensing regime, which has commenced on the 1st of March 2018. Under the TCSP licensing regime, unless exempted, any person who carries on or wishes to carry on a trust or company service business in Hong Kong is required to apply for a license and satisfy a fit and proper test before they can provide trust or company services as a business in Hong Kong. Any person who carries on a trust or company service business in Hong Kong without a license commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine up to 100,000 Hong Kong dollars and imprisonment up to 6 months. Part 5A of the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorist Financing Ordinance, Cap 615, that's the AMLO, provides for the regulation of trust or company service providers. And the Companies Registry is responsible for the administration of the licensing regime for TCSPs. The registrar has published 3 guidelines for the TCSP sector to let them have a clear understanding of the licensing regime for TCSPs. They are, the first one, the guideline on licensing of trust or company service providers, that's the licensing guideline. The second one is the guideline on compliance of anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing requirements for trust or company service providers. Thereafter, we'll call the AML or CTF guideline. Now, this guideline was issued by the registrar pursuant to Section 7 of the AMLO to provide guidance for TCSP licensees for compliance with the provisions of Schedule 2 to the AMLO. It sets out the relevant customer due diligence, that is the CDD, and record-keeping requirements prescribed in the AMLO. The AML-CTF guideline is being revised now, and the revision is expected to be completed by December 2024. And the third guideline is the guideline on imposition of pecuniary penalty. Now, regarding the application for a TCSP license, the following persons will be subject to the fit and proper test. For an applicant, that is an individual carrying on business as sole proprietor, will be the individual and each ultimate owner. For an applicant that is a partnership, will be each partner and each ultimate owner. And for an applicant that is a corporation, will be each director, including the alternate director, and each ultimate owner. Pursuant to Section 53B of the AMLO, the following persons are exempted from the licensing requirement, including the fit and proper test. What they are, the first type is the accounting professional. That is a certified public accountant, CPA, as defined in the Professional Accountants Ordinance, or a CPA practicing a corporate practice, or a CPA firm as defined in the Accounting and Financial Reporting Council Ordinance. The second type is the legal professional. That is a solicitor or a foreign lawyer as defined in the Legal Practitioners Ordinance. The third type is the authorized institution as defined in the Banking Ordinance. And fourth type is a licensed corporation as defined in the Securities and Futures Ordinance that operates a trust or company service business in Hong Kong that is ancillary to the corporation's principal business. And the last type is a person of a class or description prescribed by the Secretary for Financial Services and Treasury by regulation. Now it comes to the licensing requirements. First of all, a person is required to apply for a TCSP license before carrying on a trust or company service business in Hong Kong by submitting Form TCSP1. And if a TCSP licensee would like to continue to carry on trust or company service business in Hong Kong after the expiry of its license, it is required to apply for the renewal of its license at least 60 days before the expiry of the license by submitting Form TCSP2. If a TCSP licensee would like to add an ultimate owner or a partner or a director, it is required to obtain prior approval from the registrar before adding the ultimate owner or partner or director by submitting Form TCSP3. And the TCSP licensee has to notify the registrar of a change in its particulars within 1 month, beginning on the date on which the change takes place, by submitting Form TCSP6. And if a TCSP licensee intends to cease its trust or company service business, it needs to notify the registrar by submitting Form TCSP7 before the intended date of cessation. Now, the following are some of the key points to note when applying for a TCSP license. Remember not to commence any trust or company service business unless a license is granted. And when you submit the Form TCSP1, please ensure to submit a valid business registration certificate. That is, the business registration certificate number in the middle should be 000 and not the branch registration certificate. There's the number in the middle is 001 or 002, etc. That's one of the supporting documents. And when you provide information for the ultimate owner, but not the shareholder, now you can refer to paragraph 4.3 of the licensing guideline for the definition of ultimate owner. And the applicant should appoint at least one compliance officer, CO, and one money laundering reporting officer, MLRO, and keep the appointment records as well as the responsibilities of the CO and MLRO. And please also ensure that the CO and MLRO are normally based in Hong Kong. And remember to keep a copy of the completed application form for record and future reference. Regarding the renewal of TCSP license, please note that TCSP licensees must submit the applications for renewal at least 60 days before the expiry of their licenses. Please note that there is no grace period, and licensees have to apply for a new license if they miss the deadline for renewal of licenses. So please ensure to submit the renewal applications before the deadline. Licensees may apply for renewal of their licenses 3 to 4 months before their licenses are due to expire. And the TCSP registry will issue reminder emails to licensees 4 months before the expiry of their licenses. Please remember to check your email accounts and including the spam email or junk mail boxes in order not to miss the emails and the deadline. And please also note that it is the responsibility of the licensees to submit the renewal applications before the deadline. Please ensure that the information you fill in the Form TCSP2 should be consistent with the records previously provided to the registrar. You may need to review the licensee's records first before submitting the renewal applications. And if there are any changes in the particulars of the licensee or its relevant persons, then please submit the Forms TCSP6 to notify the registrar of the changes. And the licensee should also ensure that prior approval for adding ultimate owner, partner, or director has been granted by the registrar. And upon making the application for renewal of license successfully, your current license remains in force unless your application is withdrawn or the current license is revoked or suspended, or until it is renewed, or if it is not renewed until the decision not to renew takes effect. A TCSP license is usually valid for 3 years. If you wish to continue to carry on your trust or company service business upon the expiry of your license, you must make an application for renewal of license at least 60 days before the license is due to expire. And unless the application for renewal of license is withdrawn or your current license is revoked or suspended by the registrar, your current license will remain in force until it is renewed, or if it is not renewed, until the decision not to renew takes effect. And as shown in the PowerPoint, if you have successfully submitted the renewal application, even your current license has expired before the renewal license is granted, the current license still remains in force. On the other hand, if you failed to submit the application for renewal at least 60 days before the expiry of your license, then you must apply for a new TCSP license if you still wish to carry on a trust or company service business in Hong Kong after the expiry of your current license. Now, the TCSP registry will process your application for a new TCSP license, and a new license will be granted to you if your application is successful. And the new TCSP license will bear a new license number. If your license has expired before a new license is granted to you, then you must cease carrying on your trust or company service business before the new license is granted. Otherwise, you will commit an offense of carrying on a trust or company service business in Hong Kong without a license, and you will be liable on conviction to a fine up to 100,000 Hong Kong dollars and imprisonment for 6 months. Please note that the registrar has imposed licensing conditions to all TCSP licensees upon the granting or renewal of their licenses. And they are: the licensee should appoint a CO and a MLRO during the term of the license, and should ensure that a new CO or MLRO is appointed within 7 days where a vacancy occurs in the 2 posts. And the second, the licensee should put in place adequate and proper anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing policies, procedures, and controls, as evidenced by policy statements or other written documents. And the licensee should provide information relating to his business during the term of the license, as may be required by the registrar, and such information should be provided within such time as the registrar may specify. Please remember that the registrar may take disciplinary action against a TCSP licensee if it fails to comply with any of the licensing conditions. Now, for the licensing condition regarding the provision of information relating to the trust or company service business of the licensee to the registrar during the term of its license, Form SIS2 is one type of information required to be submitted to the registrar. Please be aware that Form SIS2 will be sent to all licensees for completion through email or letter as an annual exercise. Licensees who have failed to return the duly completed Forms SIS2 to the registrar before the deadline will constitute a breach of Licensing Condition 3, and disciplinary action may be taken against the licensee under Section 53Z of the M Law. Now, if a TCSP licensee would like to add an ultimate owner, a partner, or a director who is subject to the fit and proper test, it needs to obtain the prior approval from the registrar before adding that ultimate owner, partner, or director by submitting the Form TCSP3, Form TCSP4, and or Form TCSP5, depending whether the person is an individual or a corporation, with the supporting documents and fees electronically in person or by post to the TCSP registry. Now, let me illustrate an example. If a TCSP licensee would like to add an individual director, it should first submit a Form TCSP3 and a Form TCSP4 together with the appropriate fee to apply for the approval from the registrar for that proposed person to become a director. And after prior approval is obtained, the licensee can rearrange for the approved person to become a director. And after the appointment is made, the licensee should submit a Form ND2A to the company's registry under the company's ordinance within 15 days after the appointment. And the licensee should also submit a Form TCSP6 to the registrar under the MO within 1 month of the appointment. Now, regarding the notification of changes in the particulars of licensees, if there are any changes, then it should notify the registrar within 1 month beginning on the date on which the change takes place by submitting the Form TCSP6 together with the supporting documents electronically, in person, or by post to the TCSP registry. Now, below are the types of changes which a TCSP licensee must notify the registrar. First type is the changes in particulars of the licensee. For example, the licensee's business name, business address, business email address, and business telephone number, etc. And also the changes of a licensee's ultimate owner, partner, director, CO, or MLRO. Then the licensee should also notify the TCSP registry. The third type of changes is the changes in the particulars of the licensee's ultimate owner, partner, director, CO, and or MLRO. And the fourth type of changes is the changes in the fit and proper status of persons who have undergone the fit and proper tests. And please also note that if the TCSP licensee who is a corporation is in liquidation or a receiver has been appointed, the licensee should also notify the registrar by submitting the Form TCSP6. Now, we have noticed that quite a number of TCSP licensees have incorrectly believed that when they have already filed notifications and forms to report the changes as required under the company's ordinance, then they have also fulfilled the requirements under the MO. We would like to take this opportunity to remind all licensees that they are required to comply with the filing requirements under both the company's ordinance and the MO. And they should file different notifications and forms to the company's registry and the TCSP registry separately. And please note that if a TCSP licensee fails to comply with the filing requirements under the MO, it will be liable to prosecution or is subject to disciplinary action by the registrar. If a TCSP licensee intends to cease its trust or company service business, it should notify the registrar before the intended date of cessation by submitting Form TCSP7 together with the supporting documents electronically, in person, or by post to the TCSP registry. For the enforcement of the TCSP licensing regime, we have established an enforcement system to ensure that TCSP licensees have complied with the licensing and the AML and CTF requirements. We would conduct site inspections against TCSP licensees, and they may be in the forms of surprise inspections or inspections by appointment. And during the inspections, we will interview the relevant persons and inspect the records and documents. We may also invite the relevant persons of the licensees to attend interviews They may be in the form of online interviews or interview in our office. Moreover, we will examine the various documents submitted by the TCSP licensees, including the forms SIS2, which are related to the AML and CTF policies, procedures, and measures taken by the TCSP licensees. And at the same time, we will also consider intelligence provided by other law enforcement agencies and conduct investigations when necessary to ensure that the licensees have fully complied with the licensing AML CTF requirements. If a TCSP licensee is found to be non-compliant on the licensing requirements and also the AML or CTF requirements, depending on the nature and seriousness of the contravention or the non-compliance, the following actions may be taken against the licensees by the registrar. For minor contraventions, advisory or warning letter may be issued to the licensee. For more serious contraventions and breaches, the registrar may consider to take disciplinary actions against the licensee, which may include public reprimand the licensee, order the licensee to take remedial action to rectify the non-compliance, and even impose a pecuniary penalty of not exceeding 500,000 Hong Kong dollars against the licensee. And if the registrar considers the relevant persons of the licensees are no longer fit and proper to carry on or associate with trust or company service business, the registrar may consider to suspend or even revoke the license or not to renew the license. And if any person has committed an offense under the AML, prosecution action may be taken against the person as well. Now, you may refer to the enforcement section on the TCSP website for the details on the highlights of prosecution and disciplinary cases. Now, we would also like to take the opportunity to share with you some of the common deficiencies identified during the interviews or inspections with the TCSP licensees. Firstly, regarding the policy statement, it is noted that some of the licensees still have not established their own written policy statements. And meanwhile, some licensees may just copy the policy statements of other regulatory bodies without preparing their own policy statements. And it is also noted that the following areas or details are sometimes found omitted in the written policy statements of the TCSP licensees, such as the procedures and documents required for the customer due diligence, and especially on customers other than individual customers. And also the screening of customers against the list of sanctioned destinations and terrorists, screening of beneficial owners of customers on politically exposed persons, that's PEPs, the employee screening procedures, and also independent audit function. Now, the following deficiencies are also found during the inspections on the documents and records provided by the TCSP licensees. For risk assessment, sometimes the licensees are unable to demonstrate that they have conducted risk assessment on their customers, or there are no risk assessment records or results are kept by the licensees. For customer screening, no screening is conducted on customers against the updated list of sanctioned destinations and terrorists, or the screening is not conducted as soon as practicable after the relevant lists are updated. And there is no screening on the beneficial owners of customers on PEPs, or no screening records or results are kept. And then for customers not physically present for identifications, we found that sometimes the licensees, they do not have other additional measures or enhanced due diligence have been conducted against the customers, except online interviews with snapshot of the pictures holding the identification documents. Now, TCSP licensees, please also note that if it considers to mitigate the money laundering or terrorist financing risk by obtaining copies of documents that have been certified by a suitable certifier, it should note the types of suitable persons for certifying verification of identity documents and the details on the certification of the documents. And you may refer to paragraph 5.32 of the revised AML and CTF guideline for details. And then for ongoing monitoring, the licensees, they may not be aware of the changes in the particulars of the customers and their beneficial owners, or the licensees are unable to demonstrate to our officers that the information of their customers is up to date and relevant. And for person purports to act on behalf of the customer, the licensees have not verified the authority of persons purport to act on behalf of the customers who are corporations, and the licensee have not obtained the authorization documents from the corporate customers. And we hope that the TCSP licensees can be aware of the deficiencies mentioned above and avoid making the same mistakes in the future. Now, here are the highlights on key updates in 2024. And first one, we have already consulted a consultation on the proposed revised AML CTF guideline for TCSPs during April to June. And then for all TCSP licensees, they should have submitted the duly completed Form SIS2 for 2023 to the TCSP registry by email or by post by June 2024. And for the, we will expect to have the gazetto of the revised AML or CTF guideline for TCSPs in December 2024. And the revised guideline will come into effect in March 2024. And you may visit our website at www.tcsp.cr.gov.hk for more information and updates on the TCSP licensing regime. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.